Okay, so we made a brew yesterday and it didn't turn out very well. It was sour, so I want to adjust it today. And there's a bunch of different variables we can work with. I would say the first one is dose. That's the one where we actually just dose out our beans. We're not going to change that variable. 20 grams yesterday, 20 grams today. Now just a reminder, a scale is a great idea, a great investment. Yeah, because all different beans from different places and elevations and roast levels, they all weigh differently. So you can't eyeball it. And if you want repeatability and you want to be able to truly dial in your brew, there's just no way around it. You got to get a scale. That's it. But they're only like 10 bucks. So, okay. The thing about dose, and the reason I wouldn't recommend changing dose at a, when you're just starting off, is because it changes the amount of resistance in your brew. So if you're doing a pour over like this, then if I ground one bean and I did a pour over, that water would pass through in a second and you would have nothing but basically water in your cup. Wouldn't have time to extract. If I put 100 grams in here and I put water through, it would take forever to get through. It would be over extracted. It would be horrible. So when you start changing dose, then you also have to change grind size to try to match the resistance, but then you're going to get less extraction in some cases. And anyway, so this is what I mean, where like you have to start doing all these mental calculations. We're going to avoid all that. We're just going to change grind size. That's the only variable we're going to change today. We'll keep temperature about the same, agitation, recipe, everything else about the same. So here we go. Okay, so grind size. The other day, I did, okay, this is what I want to say about grind size. If I'm doing a recipe, I'm going to have, on this grinder, I'm going to have about a 7-click range. Okay, if I see that the bean is from low elevation and it's on the darker roast side, I'm going to be on the coarser end of that range. Okay, so that's where I started with these beans last time. So if I found like a high elevation, lighter roast bean, then probably what I would do is I would start on the low end of the spectrum. So I was like 1 click off of the high end. I'm gonna knock it down 5 clicks, which is a pretty big adjustment for me, and get almost toward the low end of the spectrum because it was pretty darn sour yesterday. So here we go. Pour this in. Come on, bean. All right, grind this up. Yeah, got them all? Okay, cool. Get this out of the way. All right, I already pre-wet my filter. Let's see how's my temperature. You know what, I'm gonna put this back on for a couple seconds just to get the temperature back up. Okay. All right, I've got my recipe here, which kind of gives me a play-by-play like flow rate basically. So I need to pour at a certain rate to keep constant and avoid maybe changing the amount of agitation if I'm like really pouring hard and then pouring soft or pouring all over the place. Okay, so 20 grams. It says 330 grams out. I go to instructions. It'll give me an advertisement, blah, 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 blah. And okay, we're good. So, all right. As much repeatability as possible. So I'm going to settle it like I did yesterday and put a bit of a well in there. Okay. Turn on the scale. Okay. Let's just off the boil. I'll let it sit for just a couple seconds. We're going to bloom first. Bloom allows some of the gases to escape. Okay, so we're going to put the minimal amount of water in we can where we get all the grains wet. And let's do that now. Here we go. Ready? Boom. Side to side. Okay. We got 40 grams in. I'm going to swirl a little bit. We'll just wait. Blooming can be anywhere from 30 seconds to a minute. And, you know, different people have different preferences. And again, I would say it depends on the recipe maybe. But I generally kind of stick right toward the middle and do about 45 seconds. Okay, here we go. Gonna try to get everything nice and evenly wet. And then do kind of a center pour. Try to keep the flow pretty even. And occasionally do a bit of, okay, we're gonna stop there, let it sit for a second. Okay, let it get to 208. Okay, cool. Okay, we're a bit ahead of schedule. Boom, 334 on the button. All right, it says stir. I'm going to actually just swirl a little bit and just let it sit. This is what I did yesterday. I'm going to do the same thing today. So I'm going to try to keep the technique the same. Yeah, keep that variable the same as much as possible. It's going pretty quickly. That's not good. But it might slow down toward the end, or maybe not. Oh boy. And it's done about 22 seconds ahead of where the recipe says. Now that's not necessarily a bad thing, okay? But you can kind of guess that if it's ended 20 or 30 seconds early, it might be a bit on the sour side. But anyway. Okay, we'll let a few drips go through since the time's running out anyway. And I gotta put this in the sink. Okay, so when you're tasting your brew, I would generally wait about 3 minutes and then give it a taste. And then pay attention to the taste because it'll change over time and you know, you'll get different things that come out at different times. I would even say that if you wait, like, what I would do if I was testing coffee and I really was interested, if I got it right on the money, is I'd pour a little bit into like a small cup and just let it sit until it gets to room temperature. At that point, you're gonna be able to tell if it's like sour, bitter, you know, like if the flavor's there, it tastes good, it's not unpleasant, boom, you got it, you know. So that's maybe something I would do for like a first time brew too. If you're a little bit more obsessive than I am. All right, here. Okay, I'm gonna take a small sip and just see. Jaggy. Yeah, that's better. Okay, it's not 100% there, but I can taste. It tastes like raisin. Let's see, raisin. Okay, hang on a second. Raisin, plum, kind of plum. Let's see. a bit of molasses like that, like kind of almost like gingerbread. It's basically in that ballpark right there. Yeah. Okay. So that's pretty good, and I would of course let this sit and cool a little bit so the flavors really come out. It does taste like it might be a little bit on the sour side. In that case, yeah, I would just do a one-click finer and see how that result turns out. Again, this is white bell coffee, so I would say the grind size is the thing that you're going to want to go to when you're dialing in your brew. So it's just a matter of getting your taste to recognize, is it sour, is it bitter, is it undeveloped, is it overdeveloped, and then make your adjustments in that way. So, but try to keep all the other variables the same: the dosing, the water temperature, the recipe, the technique, and there's one I left out, which is the ratio of water to coffee. You can also change that, so you could do, for example, like 15 grams of water for every gram of coffee, or 17 grams of water for every gram of coffee. That's the general normal range for dealing with like pour over coffee. So, all right, that's about it. If you have any questions, let me know, Jaggy. Yeah, and that'll be it. You know what? I'll taste this later when it's cooled a little bit, and I'll put it in the comment section. I'll put what I thought about it at that point. So, all right, thank you very much for watching. Catch you later.